Hello and welcome to the TTI Distribution Download, the podcast where we talk about all things happening in the world of electronic components with the specialists of TTI. Today it's another installment of Big Ideas and Little Known Facts about connectors with John Sandy of TTI and Dan Venuto of Molex.
Thanks, Jim, and welcome everybody to TTI and Molex's Big Ideas and Little Known Facts podcasts with me, John Sandy from TTI, and Dan Venuto from Molex. Today we're going to be talking to Donna Wallburg, Distribution Product Marketing Manager for Molex RF. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're very happy to have you on, Donna. Why don't we start off by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and how long you've been at Molex and a little bit about your job history here.
Okay, fantastic. So I have been with Molex for about 9 years now, specifically within the RF business unit. I've been a product manager, then had moved on to a group product manager, and now my focus is on distribution. Really my entire career, I've been in the RF industry, so that's a real long time, but time flies when you're having fun.
Can you tell us a little bit about the RF business unit and how what makes distribution so important to them?
Oh, definitely. So the RF business unit, we offer connectors and cable assemblies. So it's RF connectors, the standard products. So SMA, SMB, MCX type connectors, full product line of connectors. And that's a great product to go through distribution, making product readily available, especially an engineer working on maybe a project design in phase, being able to quickly pull product off the shelf. In addition to that standard product, though, we also have custom connectors. So again, engineers working on a specific design and they might need, let's say, an SMA, but modified. So we offer those as well. And again, working with distribution. But in addition to the connectors, we also offer the standard cable assemblies as well as custom cable assemblies.
That's a great overview there. And then, I've heard a little news and I've seen some press releases. What is Molex doing with TTI to make it easier for engineers and our customer base to design RF cable assemblies?
We've been working on this for a while. We have come out with a custom cable assembly configurator, and it's specifically for RF type of cable assemblies. And we have this on the Molex website as well as on the TTI website. And it's a great tool. It allows the customer to be able to request a drawing, samples, and a quote all at the same time, all within this application. I think about the days where you'd be working with a customer and you're literally grabbing a piece of paper or a napkin and writing out, trying to draw the cable assembly that the customer needs. Those days are over. Working with the customer, you can actually be sitting in front of the customer, pull out the application, pull up the website and design the cable assembly right there while sitting with the customer. It's a very easy application. You go in, you choose the connectors you want as well as the cable. You're able to determine the length. You're able to even request specific requirements, like let's say the customer wants shrink tubing or labeling on that assembly, or they have specific electrical requirements. All of that can be requested right on this application. Within minutes of completing the fields, an email is sent to the customer with the drawing of the cable assembly that they just configured.
Great overview there. I mean, I know we've had the regular cable creator on our site for quite a while now, and it's been a very useful tool. I see this as a real big step forward in for the customer when it comes to designing cable assemblies. Does it cover all of the standard products, or are we starting with a few different series and then we're going to add some more over time? Could you give us a quick view on that?
Right now, it really does cover I would say almost all of our standard products. So standard connectors. I will say we've even added some unusual configurations where we may not even have a connector designed, but by chance, if the customer said, well, I need a waterproof, say MCX, which would be unusual, but if they said, I need a waterproof MCX, if for a specific cable, if we don't have it, but know that it can be manufactured, it can be chosen. So what we've tried to do is come up with all the possible options that the customer might have so that we're able to say, okay, this is what the customer needs. Let's go ahead and you design an assembly to work for their application.
I know TTI and our customer base are really excited to start engaging on that custom RF cable configurator. What are some of the focus markets and maybe some emerging markets for RF product?
When we think of RF, we think wireless, and which is everywhere, but there are certain markets that we do very well in. I think of markets such as like telecom, broadband, commercial vehicle, IoT. I would say an area that we're actually expanding in would be test and measurement. That's a market that we're working on some additional, expanding our product line in order to really target that market.
I'm going to kind of go off track a little bit here, but one of the areas, looking at my past with RF product, do you still see a lot of customers using our RF product? We always think of it as wireless, transmitting frequencies, but some customers use our RF capabilities for precision power.
We'll find that customers will utilize a connector and coax cable to not only send this RF signal, but also power. And we do have a product that we're working on right now. It's power over coax. So there are definitely those applications where it might be both. It might be one, but utilizing RF products in order to transmit that power signal as well.
So the power over coax is interesting. So we've obviously heard a lot in the past of power over Ethernet and various other products coming in where they're combining the signal and the power. Is there a roadmap timeline to when that product may be in the market?
Yeah, I would say right early 2024 that will be hitting the market.
And then Donna, continue on the track of new products. Can you talk about some of the new releases that we've done over the past, 6-9 months within the RF business unit at Molex?
Yeah, so I was mentioning the test and measurement market. Maybe I'll touch base with that first. So the RF group, we already produce high frequency, low loss cable assemblies utilizing our Tempflex cable. That's the blue cable you'll often see out there in the industry. So utilizing our Tempflex cable, those assemblies will typically operate up to 50 gigahertz, depending on the cable, which cable and which connectors are being utilized. So we are expanding that product line to go up to 110 gigahertz. So it's quite the jump. And it's really because that's where we see the market is going. So, and again, a lot of this will be focused on test and measurement, some aerospace as well, but up to 110 gigahertz. And these assemblies will utilize precision connectors, down to 1 millimeter connectors. The cable itself, we will offer standard like flexible cable as well as armored cable so that these assemblies can be used maybe in a more rugged environment, or maybe if someone needs these for test and measurement, for testing on a production line where they might be bent quite often. So again, more of a rugged version of these assemblies. So that's early 2024. That product line is being launched. So we have launched a new line of cable assemblies, but they're locking cable assemblies. So this is the ultra micro miniature connector with a locking version. So those assemblies will have that MHF locking connector on one end, maybe an SMA on the other, MCX, whatever it is that the customer might require. I would say those are the two I'd want to focus on and really make that big announcement of the test and measurement market with the high frequency cable assemblies and then the MHF locking assemblies. So as you can see, we're definitely really focusing on cable assemblies at this point.
Donna, if I could just get you to go back a little bit there. You mentioned Tempflex, and obviously I know that the Tempflex acquisition goes back a little bit now in the world of Molex, but that product is fairly unique and does give us some advantages in the market. Could you just sort of maybe explain to the listeners a little bit about the Tempflex cable that we're using in the RF assemblies?
The Tempflex cable is again, it's a high frequency, lower loss, flexible cable. So where a customer may have a need for a flexible cable versus a semi-rigid or conformable cable in their application, which means they're a little more restricted in how to utilize that cable and how to route that cable, we have this flexible version. It is very popular. We have sizes are offered in 047, 086, and 141 flexible versions.
So Donna, coming back to the custom cable creator, I know with some of the other business units inside of Molex, there's been a real focus on looking at off-the-shelf cable assemblies as well. Is that something that the RF group is looking at to develop? And if so, would appreciate your view on where it is today and where we're going with that.
Oh, yes. Yes. So definitely an area that we are working on. So if you look at our standard cable assembly offering, we do have an offering, but it's small. And that's me being quite honest. And that is something that we recognize and we are expanding upon that. If we're working with distribution, it's important that we are getting our standard assemblies out there, having TTI stock the standard cable assemblies. And as I said, we already do have some, but not enough. So we are actually in the process of working on a project of releasing several additional cable, standard type cable assemblies, because we do recognize we have product gaps. And it's not that we can't offer those assemblies. It's just not something we've done in the past, and it's something that we recognize we need to. So I would say, again, this is something targeted that we're doing now, but you should see, especially TTI having them on the shelves, I would say hopefully within around your first quarter of 2024. So it's something, a project of ours we're very excited to be working on.
No, thanks for that, Donna. I think with the custom cable creator and the range of cables that we've got today, and with some more coming, I think that'll be a very interesting thing for our audience to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to reiterate to our audience out there, TTI obviously is known for the availability of on-hand inventory. TTI stocks all of Molex's new products, so you can expect to see those cable assemblies that Donna just discussed, RF connectors, they will all be available at TTI, whether through the internet or through one of the 30 local branches that TTI has throughout the Americas. Okay, so that was Donna Wallburg from Molex, and we would like to thank you for your time and attention on today's podcast.
Thanks very much, Donna. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Dan, for having me today.
That's it for this episode of the TTI Distribution Download. For more information on any of the topics you heard about today, reach out to your nearby TTI branch at 1-800-CALL-TTI or visit us online at tti.com.